Well, this one is a tough one to talk about. By the time you get this video, you're probably just waking up, grabbing a coffee, or it might be toward the afternoon. Last night, right before 11 p.m., we were getting notifications from the Dragon Ball official Twitter account, X account, however you want to call it. It seems that back on the 1st of March, which would be about 7 days ago, one of the greats, creator of manga, Akira Toriyama, creator of the Dragon Ball saga, Dr. Slump, and a couple of other characters in history, has passed away at age 68. I don't know what to say at this point. It's I grew up at the beginning of the Dragon Ball saga. I was a teen at that point. I was just getting out of high school, getting into trade school, into broadcasting. I was already well into broadcasting at this point. In the mid 80s, that's when the original Dragon Ball was released in Japan. I think we got it around first season about 2 years later here in the U.S. on Nippon and one of the Spanish, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of the Spanish UHF channels was airing it in a subtitle with Spanish subtitling. It's still in Japanese. This is like before the tsunami era and the beginning of the internet. I started watching it then, as soon as it started airing here. It was a really great series. I kind of drifted off the way because things were changing on cable TV and the UHF channels. So basically, a lot of that programming coming out of Nippon and stuff like that wasn't coming out as much on the UHF stations later on. I was getting some bootlegs here and there, but I kind of lost the original Dragon Ball for quite some time. And then Z came out. I was catching some of that off of one of the Spanish networks until Toonami came around. And when Toonami started to come around, you started to see, and you saw the VHS era come in. You started to get some of these things on VHS. DVD was around the corner. Then, when Toonami came in, everything, really ramped up at that point. And it was a great series. I mean, I grew up with this. I mean, it's sort of like, you look at Goku and his family and his friends. It's sort of like they were part of us all us fans that watched constantly, or were trying to get the manga, try to get a translated version. You know how that was back then. And if you got a bootleg, we try to pass it to each other. We got one. We try to make a VHS copy from copy to copy or beta to beta. Back in the day. Let me read a little bit off the Dragon official site. This was posted on, officially on their end, it'd be the 8th, it'd be the 7th on our end, because, they're a day apart. Dear family and partners, we're deeply saddened to inform you that manga creator Akira Toriyama passed away on March 1st due to an acute cerebral hematoma. He was in the age of 68. It is our deep regret that he has still had several works in the middle of creation with a great enthusiasm, and he would have had many more things to achieve. However, he has left many manga titles and works of art to this world. Thanks to the support of so many people around the world, he has been able to continue his creative activities for over 45 years. We hope that Akira Toriyama's unique world of creation continues to be loved by everyone for a long time to come. We inform you this sad news with gratefulness for your kindness during his lifetime. Funeral service was held with his family and very few relatives. Following his wishes for tranquility, we respectfully inform you that we would not accept flowers, condolences, gifts, visiting offerings, and others. Also, we ask you to refrain from conducting interviews with his family. Further plans for commemorating the gathering is not decided. We will let you know when it is confirmed. We deeply thank you for your understanding and support as always. This comes from the website itself. Several other sites, Screen Rant, and CB, which is part of Comic Book Anime, which is part of the CBS internet, has also reported this at the time of this recording. Also, Geeks and Gamers, Flash, Yellow Flash, a lot of others have reported this as well. I was starting to get confirmations directly from Japan. I was translating them through the evening. Man, it's something, Many years, I'm 50, I'm in my late 50s, and watching this grow, watching them grow up, and the style changes, the stories and stuff like that. It's something I've always enjoyed. I've always recommended. One of the main shows I've always recommended for anyone to watch anime is the Dragon Ball saga, especially Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I loved Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball regular, the original storyline when he was a boy, I loved that storyline as well. You can find it on Crunchyroll. You can find it on several websites that does carry this. You can watch it episode to episode, depending if you want to watch it as a Dragon Ball Kai, which is a condensed version. It's like all the side stories are removed. It's the direct storylines of all the fights and battles, the Frieza battles, Cell Saga, and all the rest. I own a couple of the DVD sets. I mean, they haven't had a perfect one as of yet. There was one on there. I think it was the black set. Was it called? That was the only one that was really good, and that's hard to find. If you can find it, you'd be paying a pretty penny for it out there. To think, 2024, to think that one of the things that you'll be talking about this year would be the passing of a great story writer, right? And he's a great story writer. I mean, there is a new series that was coming. I think it was a series or a movie, if I'm not mistaken. That was the San Lan show that he was working on, which I think it's still coming. I think they still it's been teased out, about 13 episodes. I guess that's as far as they're going to go with that, depending on if there is more to come of it that was written prior to his death. Right now I'm going through the sites at the moment as we are recording this, and I'm already seeing that we're getting now, Japan News is starting to put out an article on that as well. I've been having problems getting onto their site. We also have Yahoo is reporting this as well, and many others. So it's we're pretty much it's about confirmed on there. At the time of this recording, we're talking. We're about around 11 p.m. Eastern here in the U.S. And like I said, at the time of this recording, depending on when you guys watch it, you may be watching it tomorrow. And the fan base itself. I mean, you talk about Star Wars, you talk about any comic book or anything like that, but you look at Dragon Ball itself. The fan base is enormous when it comes down to it. When you look at that perspective, I mean, there are places in the world, like especially in Latin America, that they have them on full screens. Have these like big, season finale parties and stuff like that. Like the last one was Super. The end of the universe tournament that was going on, and it was on big screens. And the ending, that's giving away for you guys to have. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, if you haven't seen it yet, oh god, I'm about to spoil it for you. When Frieza and Goku team up to win the tournament, which was really great. Which it ends up to be Android 17 ends up winning the tournament at the end, because they end up defeating their opponent, and they all end up getting knocked out of the ring. And oh man, it's hard to talk about this. It really is. I normally, you always get a lot for me to talk about, and it's hard to say these things. It is really, really, but we have to go on. You may ask, well, what was my favorite? What was my favorite of the Dragon Ball sagas? The original Dragon Ball, I love the Red Ribbon Army storylines. Those were really good, but of course King Piccolo would always be my tops as far as the storylines go. Going into Z, there's a lot in there. There's a lot that you can. It wouldn't be the Buu saga for each other. Between the Frieza saga and the Cell saga, or between the two of those are fantastic. I mean, they individually, they are just some really, really good storytelling. When you introduce Frieza in there, and when you're introducing Cell, that Cell's part of the Red Ribbon Army, which I like the Red Ribbon Army. I didn't enjoy GT. One thing I didn't enjoy that much GT. I did watch GT. Some people, there are mixed fans with GT itself. Of course, we have that new series coming out very soon, Dayama, which is sort of like a similar. I don't know if it's going to be similar or not, but we know that the Goku is going to be shrunk again to a kid, and everybody else will be shrunk down to kids on that purpose. Which in the original GT story, that it was just Goku, the Black Dragon Balls. But with the newer stuff, a lot of the movies were really good. Dead Zone and the Cooler and all that. But in the newer sense, in Super, the universe tournament, it was, of course, that was the comes and some people didn't like that. They didn't like that in the Super series. The movies itself, they were okay. A lot of them were okay. Obviously, the Broly movie, the last Broly movie, and the last one before that, the superhero one. The superhero one, I found it was okay. I enjoyed it on there. It's like a lot of people were mixed on there, but it still had its heavy fan base. You're always going to have a great fan base with Dragon Ball fans, and that's one thing about Dragon Ball fans. They will speak out and on there, and of course, we have Dr. Slump, which you can watch Dr. Slump. I believe in the original Japanese, they didn't translate it into English. I was surprised they didn't do that. They were expected to do that. Dr. Slump isn't no longer available on Tubi. It used to be, not anymore now. In fact, I don't really see it on any other site at the moment. It's probably going to end up over on Crunchyroll in that perspective. Wow. Like I said, I grew up with this, and so did a lot of my friends. This is one of the major animes. This is one of the crushing heartbreaking losses to the anime world and manga world. You know, you have a creator that's given so much joy to the fans, and see, that's the one thing that you prove to, you know, when you talk to Hollywood and tell them, you know, and the TV broadcasters and all that, and tell them, says, listen, this is what the fans want. This is what they want. They want good stories. None of this politics or anything like that. And you've never seen, you know, any other series recently that it is similar to that. And I'm talking about it on the American side. You know, I mean, this is still a developing story on there. There's probably a lot more coming to, you know, to the situation on there, because there'll probably be a tribute, sort of a, for the fans, probably at one of the conventions or something major online that everyone can get with, be together, sort of a holding of hands all together online, on, you know, whether it's on X, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on any other site. But take a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are major fans, take a moment, go over, watch a couple episodes. Those of you who haven't yet, if you haven't taken in, I know there are some of you out there that are, you're in your 20s, you are a watcher, and you probably, you know, you've heard of the tales of Dragon Ball and stuff, and you've never taken the step to go. Today, it's probably the day that you want to click onto that. You want to watch an episode or two and start from the beginning. I mean, if you want to start with Dragon Ball Z. Start with that. You know, if you want to go back to Dragon Ball, that's fine. I mean, all these series are very lengthy series. You know, it's just like Bleach. It's just like Yu Yu Hakusho, and many others that have lasted for many years. You know, another one's One Piece. One Piece has lasted for many, many years and still making content. I mean, Dragon Ball's still making content, you know, until, you know, now what's going on. The question is now, what is going to happen to Dragon Ball from here on? And it's very hard to say. Very hard to say at this point. They have gone on without Akira Toriyama, and that was in the GT days. Without his input. It's not the first time they would be without his input, but I hope that they're able to keep the legacy alive and continue the story arcs that they did, because there are many story arcs that they can go forward with this. There's a lot, you know, of storylines that still have not been put on the main screen, either as far as a movie or as a television episode. There's a lot of stuff still out there that, you know, we haven't touched upon yet. A lot of good stories still left that can be done. So we'll probably get at least another decade or so of Dragon Ball, hopefully on there. So rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. You've given us so much joy, and you'll continue to give us that joy even in death. Be sure to comment. Let me know your thoughts about that. Share this video as well. We will see you on the next video. We have a lot more coming out next week, so do tune in. Once again, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama.